Today, we're going to get this Oneida Cyclone mounted way up there on that wall. And during the installation, I'm going to show you how we're going to keep this vibration free. But first, let me get this stuff cleaned up. Okay, that's a little better. Before I move this scaffolding up against the wall, I should probably tell you how this wall is constructed. This is a post frame building, and on the side walls it has posts every 8 feet. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 posts on the wall that's showing, and then we have girts that span between the posts. So those girts span 8 feet in between the posts. On this particular wall, both of the end walls are like this. The posts are 9 feet. So we have one in the corner, one right on the right-hand side of this door, and one right on the side of the garage door. So we have a full 9 feet in between posts. And on this wall, I use 2x6s instead of 2x4s for a little bit of extra strength. And the 3/4 inch plywood adds a ton of strength as well. But we have this empty space behind the plywood, at least on these walls. So what I did on this area right here, and you could see it on the video, I'll put a link to the video up above. This area right here has soundproofing in the area between the thermal insulation and the wall. This also acts as thermal insulation, but in this area, what it's doing is filling that void so that we don't get vibration in the area behind there, which would transmit kind of like a guitar and make another noise in addition to the noise that the motor makes. Any little bit of vibration that you can get rid of is going to make things quieter. And the acoustic insulation that I used, that's it right there. I'm trying to keep it from expanding. It comes with a bunch of little strips. When you use that in a house, you put the strips right on the 2x4s and then attach your drywall to that. And what that does is the drywall will accept a vibration, and then the vibration will die in this stuff. And that's what that stuff is. So basically what that's going to do is that's going to stop any vibration that's transferred into these boards from going into the wall. And then we also have vibration mounts, which I'll show you real quick. These are the anti-vibration mounts, and what they are is real high density rubber, and it's a couple different kinds of rubber. So any vibration that is transferred into this is going to move around really quick and absorb the vibration. It actually turns vibration into heat. I have to figure out how to get these cut. I'm thinking they're not going to slide all that well. Oh, maybe they will. I need to cut these into 1¼ inch strips, and we'll be putting those on top of the bracket where the bracket meets the underside of the motor here, or the fan housing. I'll show you more of that in a little bit, but for now, I need to get a hole drilled in this. Well, let me tell you how this works a little better first. So what this is going to do, this is rigidly attached right to the girts behind here with 3 3/4 inch screws. And basically that's the exact thickness of all the structural members in here. So this is mounted really well. And what that's going to do is it's going to transfer vibration and weight all the way down to the concrete down here. And I have the ends of these treated so that they can sit on the concrete. And what I need to do now is pre-drill a hole on the top. I'll get one of the spacks in place. These are the spacks. I'll get one of the spacks in place and bolt that tighter to the wall. You can see how it's sticking out up there. And then I'll get it plumb and keep working with it. I'll put the bottom one in there as well. Tighten one, tighten the other, and get the top leg of the bracket level. You want your system to be mounted as level as possible. That will keep the fan in balance and keep your motor from being overworked. So let's get that first bracket in. Once the first bracket's in and it's tightened up and level, we'll go across to the other side with a level and get the other bracket level to that one. Then we got to get this pig up on top of the platform. I think I know how to do that, but I'm not 100% sure. I may need to rig up something to lift it, but I think I can get it lifted up onto the platform without too much hassle. If this was a standard stud wall, I would do this different. I would put some bracing that spans between the studs that are going up and down. Make sure I got these going the right way because they're kind of offset. Okay, that should do it. Now, we'll get this plumb and level. It's dead on. So all I got to do is pre-drill this bottom one. And all I'm doing is keeping these big spacks from pushing everything outwards and getting them to go in straight. I have a T50 wrench so that I can micro adjust these. Okay. Still plumb. And we'll see what we look like on the level. Okay, so if I tighten that bottom one up just a bit, I could probably do it with the impact, but that's what this is for. I think that's it. Smidge more. Yep, that'll do it. All right, so yeah, I had extra holes in here. This was originally mounted on a concrete wall, and where the holes fell, there was a couple holes that fell into the mortar, and it was pretty sloppy, so I drilled extra holes in there. I don't think I'm going to need them. All right, so now the bracket's down there, of course. What I was saying, I have this pre-marked, and we have an oblong hole. So I'll just drill this and then put the bracket in place, and I'll put my 4-foot level going across it that way and get it nice and level this way and plumb it up just like I did with this one. Then we'll have to worry about getting that motor up here. Okay, I got this second one on there loosely. You can see that it needs to go up, but yep. So we'll just loosen it a smidge and tap it upwards. Okay, right about there. I'll just tighten it a tiny little bit because I need to get it plumb and get another hole drilled and all that stuff. Okay. Plumb and upwards a little bit. All right, we're level and plumb. All right, I threw a little bit lighter duty spacks in those open holes just because they were there and I had the spacks on hand. So now I got to rearrange my scaffold. I'm going to put this perpendicular to the wall and then I'll get the motor unit up on it and then I can walk up to the bracket here. I got to get those anti-vibration pads cut first. And that should be fairly interesting. This is either going to be really easy or it's going to be a total pain in the butt if I have to cut that with a razor knife. Okay, so what I want to do is cut the rounded corner off, do that on 3 of them, and then turn it around and cut 6 pieces to 1 1/4. Not too bad. It definitely does not cut like wood. And there you have it. I wish I could have got material in strips like this at a longer length, but I couldn't. When I used to work at the shipyard, we used to get stuff called regu foam, and I think the densest one was about this dense. And we mounted all of the machinery and the walls and everything else on that stuff. This will work really good. All right. I have 100% silicone here. And it looks like I only need 2 of these per. So I'm just going to slather A little bit of silicone on each one. Like that. And I'm going to use this same silicone to put the collector together. All right, I'm just going to clamp these in place just to hold them, and then I'll drill a hole through the rubber, and then we got to get that pig up here. I'm thinking of walking it right up this ladder. We'll see how well that goes. All right, let me get that hole drilled in there, and then we'll tackle the big pig. I need something to cap that off. Okay, so far so good. I'm going to have to go get help with this. It's just too awkward to lift up that high. So I'm going to turn this scaffold parallel to the wall and have it out here somewhere. And I'll go get somebody, and that way we can both grab a hold of this rim and lift it up onto there. The way it is, it's just way too awkward, and I'm afraid I'm going to drop it, and that's the last thing I want to do is drop this. So let me move that stuff out of there and gently turn this sideways, and then I'll go get some help. Okay, had a few issues. These brackets were splayed out towards the outside as well. Never even thought of that, which is no big deal. You just push them back in place. But it's just another awkward thing when you have this way up in the air like that. So what I have in here are some 6-inch bolts. The bolts that I had weren't long enough. I should have knew that and had the right size on hand, but I didn't. So these are just in there temporary, and I have some shims to hold everything where it needs to be. Forgot to take some of this masking off. I'll have to get that off as well. So the hard part is done. Gets easier from here, but we still have 2 more pieces to put up, and they have to be siliconed together, and they have a hoop bracket that holds them in place. So I think what I'm going to do is just go have lunch and let this silicone dry up a bit. That's some nasty stuff. Let that dry up a little bit, and then come back out here, and I'll probably have my sister's boyfriend give me a hand on that stuff as well. At least on the next one, because it's kind of clumsy. That didn't really work all that great. I put that sticker back on because it has the information about the reset button, but probably should have looked online for a new sticker. It's in pretty shabby shape. Oh well, it is what it is. So this thing is mounted. It's as sturdy as it's going to be. And we'll get back to this in about a half hour and start putting the rest of it on. Okay, I got this all ready to go. I cleaned up the gasket and got a little bit of damage here and here, but I'm going to pump that full of silicone and kind of repair it a little bit. Then we're going to have a bead of silicone on the top of there and a bead on there, and then I'll lift it up, or I guess we can both lift it up, and then I'll hold it up while he gets this hoop clamp over the lip there. And once the nut is on that, it's not going to fall or anything. Then I can take a straight edge across the face of this, run it out this way, and measure back to the wall in a couple places. And once those measurements are equal, then it's going to be at 180 degrees to the wall, and I can tighten it the rest of the way down. Okay. I have my hardware and the wrench for the strap, and this is going to be a little bit putsy, but I need to go all the way around with a bead of silicone on both parts. Okay. So this is what I was talking about. We don't have anywhere to measure to on this side. Oh, actually, we kind of do. All right. So if I hold that tight on there and then measure back to the wall, we're at 28 3/16. And this way, we are at 25. Hold on a second, let me double check that. Yeah, 28 3/16. So, turn it that way. 26 and a half. And 25 and a half. A little more. $26. Just a tiny little bit more. 25 5/8. And we're at 25 7/8. We're pretty much right there. 25 3/4, I believe this is it. Yep, that's it. It's within a 1/16, and the wall is probably more off than that. So I got to tighten this down now, which will pull the two halves together. And then we'll prep the cone and get that up here. And that will be it for the mounting and the squaring and the vibration reduction for the dust collector. I can't wait to turn this on for the first time in 20 years, but that's going to have to wait a little bit. One of the next things coming up is I'm going to run electricity from that panel up and over to right here, and then down to everything else on the wall here. But in order to do that, I need to get the upper part of the wall in place over there. So that's going to be a little bit, probably a couple weeks. But the wall will be interesting as well. The upper tin, we'll be making a video of that as well. All right, again, I cleaned the gasket with Mr. Clean, and I cleaned this metal edge with lacquer thinner because that had oil on it. Now I just need to get the silicone on both halves of these, go get my helper, and we'll wrap this up. All right, one last piece. This is the canister neck. And I don't know if I'm going to put the canister on today, but we'll at least get this on while we have the scaffolding here. I don't think Oneida's systems are quite like this anymore, except for their industrial ones. I believe the industrial ones still look like this. I'll be taking this off again. Oh, I don't know, maybe a few months or so. It's not a high priority, but as soon as I can, I want to build a plenum for this. And when I do build the plenum, the filters, I can fit 3 filters in here, and the filters are very expensive. So for now, this is going to work just fine with the original equipment. Okay, that will wrap it up. That looks so cool. Last time this thing was set up like this, it was only 7 foot high. Well, actually, the top of the motor mount there was just under 7 feet high, and that motor went up into the rafters in the basement. And we had like this much room and then a tiny little 35-gallon container for it to dump into. It'll be really nice having this dump into a 55-gallon drum. So that's as far as I'm going to take it right now. I have electrical stuff to do over in this area, and this needs good cleaning up. Oh, in case you've never seen one like this before, this threaded rod goes up into here, and then this metal here, that catches the bottom of the filter, and then that catch pan clips onto the bottom of the filter. But this thing is filthy. I'm going to blow this out, clean this all off, get everything all really nice, and then I'm just going to set it over there for now because I have a lot of work to do on this wall. And before I can do that, all the electrical and stuff, I need to get the tin on that whole upper area because my electric line goes up and then around over to here. So it's going to go on top of that wall. So the wall needs to be there. And the line from the compressor is going to go past it and then go around this way. So I really need to get that wall in place. So that will probably be next. I got to get a cap molding. Well, it's actually, there's a molding that goes on top of the wood and then a chair molding. And then I'll know the exact length of the panels and I'll go have the Amish cut them for me. I have J molding on both sides. That should probably, that'll probably only take a day to get that whole thing up. That's not all that hard. And as long as I have this here, I can just roll down and get that whole thing in. The electrical, that's probably going to take a little while longer. Real interesting videos coming up though, so make sure you're subscribed and come back to see that stuff.